Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the 19th hole. We are live on In Between Media. Make sure you like this video. Subscribe to the whole damn channel. And you better jingle that bell for notifications. In Between Media, sports, lifestyle, everything in between. Your ticket to golf, baseball, football, NBA, NASCAR, you name it. This week, the 19th hole brings you Carnage, the U.S. Open at Pinehurst number 2. Number 2, Pinehurst. Incredibly difficult. It's going to be fair. It's going to be all the golfers complaining, whining about, it's too difficult. It's the same for all of them. We got Carnage. We're going to have a winning score somewhere around even par. I can't wait to get into it with Connor. Let's hit it. Baby, I love the U.S. Open. And there's no surprise there. If you watch this show, it's Carnage is always what I'm rooting for. It pains me when something like what happened at the PGA with Valhalla. Valhalla was dried out like Pinehurst is. It would have been pretty close to the same. But they got rain. They got soft conditions. You get PGA Tour level professionals on soft conditions. It don't matter what the course is. They're going to score on it. It's dried out. It hasn't rained in North Carolina in months. It's crispy and crunchy, and there's turtleback greens and sandy waste areas with wire grass and gorse bushes. Gorse bush 24. We're voting for gorse bush 24. I can't wait for Carnage. Connor, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well. Dethroned you last week, so that was
finally. It ended quite the streak. I had a terrible week last week.
It was it was pleasant. I was pleasantly surprised at how poor you did.
It was a slump buster for you. Because you didn't do bad. You did a pretty decent job, and I did so badly that I got skunked. I got shut out. I didn't make anything, and we will rebuild. The memorial was immemorial. I will forget everything about the memorial this year. We're moving on to Pinehurst because, last year we had a lot of Wyndham Clark. We had a lot of guys that were in contention last year at the U.S. Open. We did well at the U.S. Open last year at LACC. This course makes LACC look like the Muni down the road.
Yeah, that was I think that was one of our better hits last season because we were all over the Wyndham call. So
Wyndham.
Because
you can't spell Wyndham without winning.
Yeah, I haven't done much of that recently, but you never know. No, it's I'm not as big a lover of Carnage, but this is a gorgeous course. I love watching
Pinehurst.
it.
It's Pinehurst. It's the mystique of Pinehurst is that it is a public golf course. You can go out there and you can book a tee time right now for Pinehurst number 2, probably a couple months out, but you can absolutely play Pinehurst number 2 anytime. And that's the beauty of it. Is this golf course is one of the best public courses in the world, and every 9 years or so the PGA Tour or the professional golfers, yep, you're welcome. It's just a beautiful sight to see a public golf course get embraced by the professional golf community. Pinehurst is one of the best courses in the world, period, let alone a public one that you can go and play on a guy's vacation or a gal's vacation. You can go on a golf vacation to Pinehurst, play all the golf courses on that resort, and it's going to set up a little different this week for the big boys.
Yeah, I just had a buddy go down there about a month or two ago and play, and he was well into the hundreds, as I recall. But you can go play it.
And they still will give you a token at the pro shop if you card a 2 at Pinehurst number 2. If you card an eagle on a par 4 or a birdie on a par 3, they will give you a token with a 2-on-2, and they still do that.
We probably better go get some tokens.
Yeah, I'll get at least a couple. My game is locked in. I don't need no golf shoes right now.
We're going to play from the senior tees, but we can get her done.
Oh, I would definitely not play from the tips. 7,500 yards? You got to be kidding me. I played 7,500 yards. It ain't fun. It ain't fun.
No, I don't have enough clubs in the bag for that.
But I don't have enough balls in the bag for that.
Not on this course, man. This thing's going to be gnarly.
Gnarly. I love it. Love it. Love it.
I've played enough Carolina golf, and I've seen like glimpses into what these waste bunkers and the wiregrass and everything are, and not even to this level. And I'm telling you, I get eaten alive down in Carolina.
It's icky pants.
Whew.
Are you drinking?
I am drinking. Last week, as we were talking about, how we used to do cheap, solid whiskeys and bourbons, I went out and got this little $24 gem.
Ezra Brooks. So this is what the thumbnail of this video that Seth, our fearless leader, put on was betting Brooks. This is what he was talking about. He's talking about Ezra Brooks 99 proof Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, because neither one of us is betting on Brooks Koepka. Just a spoiler alert teaser. We're not betting on Brooks Koepka. He doesn't have a short game here. We'll cover that a little bit later.
And I would bet on Ezra that if I put it up against like $60, $70 whiskeys, you'd not be able to like say, oh, that's the cheap one. Like this is
$22. That's a great deal.
Is like ridiculously good value. So if you're out and about and you like whiskey or bourbon, 22
I haven't
to 24
seen
bucks.
One of those in the wild in a while. I'm gonna have to look a little harder because I miss Ezra Brooks.
I was between that and they had the Evan Williams small batch single barrel, like the one. What is it? I can't ever come up with the number that's on it, but it's the cheap one. It's not the high end one.
It's like 88.
I almost grabbed that.
Yeah, I'm a huge Evan Williams BIB fan, so it's yeah, and that's another great value bottle that I've drank on the show many times.
I think we both have. That's one of both of our favorites.
That's my camping bourbon. So I am not drinking alcohol tonight. It is 106 degrees Fahrenheit for you Canadians out there. That's 41 degrees Celsius. It's hot. It's like a blow dryer. And so I'm drinking some sweet tea. For North Carolina, I mean, if we're doing Carolina, we're going to do some sweet tea. I wish I had a little bit of barbecue, little molasses-based barbecue. Yeah, let's pour one out for John Rahm. Drink a little sangria for old Johnny boy. Bad foot, bad temper, bad short game. He wasn't going to do well here anyway, so pour one out for Johnny Rahm. He's not having himself a great year, is he?
He's not, but I think he did all of us a big favor by not having to debate whether to play him or not, because
that was a hard pass for me anyway.
Same.
Yeah.
But I think people that maybe don't follow it as much would have seen that name and clicked it quite a bit. And
I do wish him a speedy recovery because I've had foot issues in the past, and it's bad. You don't want it. Foot infection is one thing. Going to work on a foot infection is another thing. Going to work walking multiple miles every day with a foot infection is a stupid idea. His doctors are pretty smart. Don't let that guy hurt himself more. You can mess that up way worse by playing on it.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like that's probably the outside of maybe a knee or something or your back. I mean, your feet probably a close third.
Your feet start everything. If your feet are messed up, your knees are next, and then your hips, and then your back. You're screwed up from the bottom up.
Screwed up from the bottom up.
All right, let's hit the drop. Let's move on to caddy notes. We got to talk more about this golf course. It is the star of the show. The USGA makes their golf courses the star of the show. I don't care about this field. This is the best full field event in professional golf, even if some of our favorites didn't make it because they hadn't won shit in 10 years. That's how it goes. You got to qualify for the U.S. Open. Some guys didn't make it. Oh, well, you maybe should have played better. Let's talk about Pinehurst after this. shoulders. All right, Connor. Pinehurst number 2.
Numero dos. U.S. Open. The U.S. Open. Pinehurst, course number 2, North Carolina, par 70, 75-48 on the yardage. We're looking at Bermuda greens, 156 players, top 60 and ties are going to make the cut. Pinehurst is going to be brutal. We've talked about that a bunch already. Fairways are a little bit wider than what we've seen in the last 8 weeks, but there's absolutely no first cut. And there's no rough. So everything is lined by kind of these waste bunkers that are riddled with like uneven lies, wire grass. You don't want to miss the fairway here. That's for sure. No. And the fairways culminate in a bunch of turtleback style greens that you'll hear about that a lot this week. They're exactly what you think they are. It's nice and rounded, tapers on all edges. Also, when you miss the fairways, there is little or no rough. It's all run out area. You're surrounded by kind of tricky bunkers that have got a lot of like kind of overhanging ledges to them. So it is really, really nasty when you miss the greens. If you are able to hit and stick the greens, they are incredibly fast to the point that I think it was Wyndham Clark came out earlier this week talking about how they're borderline unfair and unplayable. So they historically here are incredibly fast. I think one nice thing about that is the weather this week is supposed to be nearly perfect. No rain, no wind. So if we do get into a situation where the 85, 90 degree temperatures really dry this place out, it's easier to take them down a notch or two. So they can counteract that a little bit. But the biggest things I'm looking at here, honestly, are accuracy and solid around the green game. You have got to be able to get up and down. You've got to be accurate. It's really a non-negotiable on both fronts.
Up and down is everything.
Yeah,
you're gonna miss these greens. If you're not in the middle, you're gonna be running off into a tight, closely mown Bermuda grained out collection area, which you might have hard pan, and you might have sand, and you might have sand and wiregrass, and you might have sand and gorse bush. And well, I mean, Martin Keimer won here in 2014 by using a Texas wedge everywhere. He didn't use a wedge, and he got up and down every single time because he was able to putt up these crowns on the edges of the greens instead of trying to chip with a wedge on these very, very tight, fast lies that are shorter than fairway, just barely longer than the green. They want you to hit the middle of these greens and just two putt pars everywhere you go. And another thing about the fairways is, yes, they're wider, but like you said, there's no rough. Like it runs off, and these fairways are fast too.
Oh yeah,
and they tempt you like, oh yeah, hit it 320. Good luck if you hit a 320, it rolls 340 into a waste bunker, and you're absolutely screwed either way. So bomb and gouge, can't do it here. You got to be in the fairway, or you are dead. Period. And that's another thing is they want you to try to hit the long ball, but they're tempting you because if you roll it out too far because the fairways are really fast and there's nothing to slow them down, it can be ugly. Wendy.
Well, and to your point too,
par for the course might actually win this week, Wendy.
To your point, they're the design of the course really does tempt you to try and kind of push for a little longer distance on a lot of these I guess off the tee shots. But unless you're incredibly precise off the tee, you're going to end up losing a stroke or two trying to recover because there's just no margin for error at all. So, you kind of hit on it, but pars are coveted and bogeys are expected here. I mean, this is not an easy course, and the name of the game truly is stick it as close as humanly possible because you don't want to have to be hitting off these tight lies.
The Keimer performance in 2014 was an incredible outlier. Like he played unconscious golf. Then he won at 9 under par, and the next best guy was at 1 under par. The cut was at +8. The time before 2005, Michael Campbell won, surprisingly 2 shots better than Tiger Woods, who Tiger was at +2 in second place solo. Michael Campbell won an even par, and the cut again at +8.
It does feel a lot like whoever wins though will be in that 7, 8, 9 range. I'm not saying anybody's going to be near them necessarily,
No chance.
but I think your cut probably this year is somewhere in the neighborhood of that like +5 ish. Yeah,
I think it's gonna be +8 again, +8, +9. I think that they added distance here. Par 70. It was a par 70 both times before, but it was 72 and 73.5 yards. So now we're at 75.5 yards for the par 70. It's all dried out. They don't want the Keimer performance to be repeated. The USGA knows what they want from Pinehurst. I think they're going to set it up to where the winning score is even to +2. I think that that's where we're going to be at. I don't think anybody's going to be 3-4 under par at the most.
I think you're going to have guys getting off early on Thursday that are going to go out and put up some scores, and then it's just weathering the rest of the tournament. I don't know. To me, every single tournament that we thought was going to be extreme carnage, there's been one or two guys that have kind of overcome it all and shot really good. So I'm not going against what you said in terms of the rest of the field, but I think we're going to have a couple 1-2 standouts here that are going to be in that, I don't know, probably 500 to 700 range. We'll see.
But will they be favorites? That's the question. You never know. This course does have a little bit of randomness to it. There's a little bit of chance involved because yes, you can play well here and get rewarded on occasion, but a lot of guys come in here and they blow up, and a lot of guys come in here and play better than they have in years. Like Michael Campbell, huge outlier. Martin Keimer was having a great year that year, but after that, he hasn't won since. That's kind of the weird sense with Pinehurst, is that we might get one of the woodworks among the favorites that are going to be there all week. We might get a few guys that are way down deep that they're gonna hang in. They're gonna make a lot of pars. They're gonna save bogeys where they can. And you never know. I think there's a lot of deep shots that we can take on the betting side to encompass that, where there's some good fits based on what's emphasized. Short game is emphasized big time.
Yeah, I think you and I have talked about it at a lot of the majors, especially the U.S. Open over the years, is the way they set up these U.S. Open tracks it's kind of the great equalizer. Like anybody in this field, really, if they go out and play consistent, good all-around golf, can win. Mm-hmm. So I don't see, I'm with you. I think the short game, especially like the recovery game, being able to get yourself back out of trouble, I think is going to be the real big differentiator here. Obviously you got to be accurate and you got to do it for 4 days straight, but there's a lot of guys on tour that can be accurate. It really is what you're able to do when you get in trouble. So that's what I think.
Into trouble. This course is
gonna...
There's no such thing as perfect on this course. You're not going to see somebody go out there and dominate this course. It's just going to be who comes out of the wreckage with the fewest blemishes.
So should we get into it? Because I'm sure we're going to have a lot of back and forth and a lot of guys to go over.
Yep. Well, Connor,
I gotta get those khakis. I gotta get those khakis.
Some guy named Scottie Scheffler is a +300 favorite, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna bet him this week.
I heard he's a felon. Is that true?
He was gonna be, and honestly, I think he should have just gotten it over with, pled guilty, even though the charges were bogus, even though the police lied like they always do. It was Scottie Scheffler's opportunity to get a little edgier, to put a little street cred on his name. I think he's got that already. This guy's unbelievably good.
Yeah,
and
thug life for sure.
On a golf course where you're going to have to be pretty precise and have a good short game, I'm pretty sure Scottie Scheffler is the most precise golfer I've seen in the last 10 years, and his short game's pretty damn good too. Any reason not to bet Scottie Scheffler other than there's not much bang for your buck there? I think a win's a win, even if it's only 3-1.
Yeah, I have a hard. It's like we said, I have a hard time betting him at +300 just from the standpoint that I think anybody can rise up and win here.
Yeah.
Scottie is undoubtedly the best player in the world. There's just no doubt about that.
Yeah, we should never have even thought about doubting it after last week, because I thought Scotty's been a little squirrely off the tee lately, and that could really hurt him. It did hurt him. It just hurt everybody else a lot more.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the conundrum is that, like, in my mind, this course kind of equalizes the field. But if that's the case, Scotty's still the best golfer in the field. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
How do you think it feels where all these other guys are playing with a shorter deck of cards, because Scottie gives himself so many more opportunities than everybody else? So he can have a triple bogey on the 9th hole on Saturday, and it's like, oh well, I lost 3 shots, I'm still up by 1. Let's keep building.
And there's a couple of other things too with Scotty too, just like by pure happenstance. Like, he's not the longest hitter. I mean, he's got adequate distance, but
Mm-hmm.
his longest shots are still not going to be putting him into the same risk bucket as like a Rory McIlroy or,
Right.
like getting down a little bit down the board, like maybe like even like a Tony Finau distance wise. So
Yeah.
or Oberg, for instance, is another guy that really can step into him off the tee. So Scotty, I think, just has the right mix of distance and accuracy and
Consistency.
consistent short game.
He's a robot.
If there's anything that I worry about with Scotty, like truly worry about with him, is he's not the best sand player, and there is a shitload of like sand and dirt around this place. So
Only 117 bunkers at Pinehurst. That's a lot.
I've been told it's a few. So yeah, I don't know. I think yeah, you got to bet Scotty almost. You definitely got to play him in DFS, but
Yeah, I'm betting Scotty. I'm tired of tipping my cap to him like I did last week. Another guy at the top here. I mean, you have Rory McIlroy, number 1 in my model. The reason being not because he's great off the tee, which he is, not because he's been good on approach. He really hasn't. Like, his approach game's been holding him back, but this guy's short game's pretty damn nails. Like, Rory's short game has been spectacular this season, and that's the reason why we keep talking about him. It's like his off the tee game is so good, and his approach game has put himself in some pretty bad spots that he's escaped pretty well from, because his short game's been awesome.
Yeah, no real argument from me on Rory. I think I'm hoping. I mean, we're getting the Scotty Rory. What is it? Scotty Rory Xander are all going off together Thursday, Friday. I'm hoping that we get the Scotty Rory weekend.
What a group!
Like, it'd be, how good would it be to watch Scotty and Rory go head to head for 4 days?
Yeah, that's good golf. That's good golf television.
So yeah, I'm on board with Rory too. I mean, obviously, I like the number on Rory a little bit better. Rory, you can make an argument in a lot of ways that Rory is as good as Scotty, if not better. Rory's just not winning at the rate that Scotty is right now. They have very similar arsenals in terms of, like, if you look at the stats and everything, it's like Rory
if he
is like
was, then Scotty wouldn't be winning at his current clip, because Scotty's winning everything.
That's true, but if you, I mean, and I know because you're looking at the same stats I am. I mean, if you look at them, they're 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. I mean, it's not a terribly different mix of, like I said, weapons between the two of them. So I like both of them. I like the bet on both of them too.
Yep. All right, and that's the other thing, is we mentioned it, or I alluded to it, is some of these top guys that are going to get a lot of play on the betting cards and they're going to get overinflated odds, they plummeted in my model because their short game is so bad. John Rahm was one of them. Like, pour one out for Johnny, but another one is one's Brooks Koepka. Brooks Koepka's short game has been atrocious this year. His putting and chipping have been atrocious this year. And as great as the 2-time U.S. Open champion has been in his career, the big game hunter, the ultimate iron player, is this golf course is a whole different breed. This is not your typical U.S. Open venue with deep 4-inch gross rough and just really nasty pot bunkers everywhere. And it's got the lightning greens, but it's going to put challenges on the weakest parts of Brooks Koepka's game. I don't want anything to do with him this week. Nothing.
So I'm not betting him. I may have him in DFS a little bit. The big
Yeah,
concerning
he's
thing
got to
is
be
that
in the pool in DFS because he's so good.
and the concerning pieces are what you said. Like the short game has been kind of abysmal this year. The only thing that I will say that he has going for him just a little bit is that Bermuda is his best like putting surface by
Typical
far.
Floridian.
So so I think what you need from Brooks this week to see him in contention come Sunday is he's got to find the approach game, which if you look at the last two starts that he's had on the PGA Tour, the approach game has been like just below flat. So I've got him averaged out at about minus zero point -0.02. So I mean, his approach game has been
Yeah,
incredibly flat. So the irons have got to come back for Brooks to really compete. The problem with that is that for an outright bet, I
it's
just
not
don't
good.
see an alternate reality where Brooks takes down Scottie or takes down Rory come Sunday. So
Yeah. I have him as number 2 on long approach over 200 yards, which there'll be a good amount of. But he's 49th in the 175 to 200 bucket, which is also very important here.
yeah, that's one of
That's a big red flag for me. 111th in around the green game is in Corey Connors territory. So,
and he
woo,
sucks out of the sand.
sucks. Yeah,
He is so bad out of the sand.
he does not like the sand.
No.
Any interest in Bryson DeChambeau? That's the
I'm a
$1,000,000
huge
question for me.
I'm a huge Bryson truther. I bet him almost every single time that he tees it up on the tour. Not here.
Are you sure?
Yeah. So my thought on Bryson is this: is that Bryson has really good distance game, and he's actually gotten a lot better on the accuracy piece. But the
Mhm.
thing that will probably continue to hold Bryson back is that Bryson's short game just never has really caught up to his long game. It's gotten better. It's gotten better, but like this is going to be an incredibly difficult test of short game.
Yeah.
And I just don't see Bryson having the chops to like stick with some of these guys that are just amazing wedge and around the green create like artists, you know?
Yeah. So interesting thing happened when I ran my model the first time. Bryson was way down there in short game. That's what I expected to see. He was somewhere like 39th in my model. Then I ran it for difficult scoring relative to par, and it got a little bit better because Bryson, obviously, big game hunter. He's played well at the majors, uh, and he went. He
On the
rose to
tier
like night.
four.
Yeah, he rose up to 19th in my model with that. Then I filtered one last time for courses over 7,400 yards, and he went to 4th in my model. So difficult conditions on long courses. He's 27th in short game, or short 17th in short game, 27th in around the green isolated. He's top 5 on all of the approach metrics. He's number 6 in strokes gained on par fours and number 16 in bogey avoidance. This guy loves long courses, and his short game seems to get better somehow on courses where a lot of people are missing greens. He's putting himself in better spots. And I think that's because he's hitting shorter approach distances. He's not putting himself in as many short-sighted situations. I think that plays into it because he's hitting shorter clubs into the greens is he's maybe if he misses a green, he's on the long side. He has green to work with where he has more margin for error. He's not short-sighting himself like other players. I think that Bryson fits this course just fine. I think the degree of difficulty here is high for everyone. And I did like to see that his short game got better as the courses got tougher and longer because I wanted to justify a DFS max exposure on Bryson because he's going to score me a lot of points this week. And B, I wanted to be able to bet him at a pretty soft line.
Yeah, so in transparency, I'm doing 0 on each side of that.
Let's
I
go. I'm usually not the Bryson guy. Usually this is the juxtaposed here where you're trying to tell me how great Bryson's been, and I agreed with you last time at the PGA. It was definitely true. I didn't believe you at the Masters, and I was wrong. And so I jumped on him. We were both on him at the PGA. We were both right at the PGA. And now it's come full circle where I'm on Bryson and you're not. What the hell's going on around here?
so here's the thing is that with his pricing and his odds, there's just two guys that I like in this general vicinity just better this week. Like,
Okay.
I hope to God Bryson is there on Sunday because it's a great
Big
watch.
fan.
Like
Big fan.
Bryson is kind of what we need in live golf. But
He's just
so
so good when he's on. He's so good.
well, and he's gotten to a point too where he's so much more tolerable than he used to be. Like
Oh yeah,
I used to
you
get
can.
like
The maturity is
nauseated
definitely there
listening to
now.
him.
Oh yeah, I couldn't stand him when he was young and immature and being the mad scientist. Like, yeah, that whole persona was just, it was exhausting. It was gross.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Cool,
Now he's the
cool attempt at
happy-go-lucky
giving
with.
yourself
Now
a
he's
name.
the happy-go-lucky nerd with the 3D printed irons. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that I can get behind.
Yeah.
So the two guys that I like here better, Ludwig, I'm all in. So Ludwig in my mind is proving that he is pretty much course proof. Like we had some reservations about him earlier in the season, and we were kind of right for a long time.
I still have some.
I have one with him, and it's namely the around the green game, but
Seems pretty important.
It is. But the things that I love about him, he's number 4 in
Everything
the
else.
field for greens and regulation. He's not missing a lot of greens. I'm not saying he's not going to miss them here because he will. He's number 4 in bogey avoidance, so he's finding a way.
Yep.
Number 6 in sand saves, number 2 in proximity from 150 to 175, and he's number 12 overall from tee to green. And that figures in a couple of the bad performances that were associated with a knee injury that he's now passed. So
Right.
I just think at 20-1, I trust Ludwig here a lot more than I trust Bryson, just because I think that Ludwig has the all around game where Bryson has potential to demonstrate the whole package.
So much package. So yeah, Ludwig fell to 29th in my model for the simple fact that I heavily weighted around the green, and he came in at 136, which is worse than Corey Connor territory. So yeah, I get it. We're looking at the same stats. He looks great everywhere else. Maybe a little bit on the longer par fours, he's not as strong, but everywhere else is top 40. Top 40 in this field is very good.
Top
130,
20.
yeah, 136th in short game on this golf course really dropped him down. He's still giving me my DFS pool. I'm just not betting this guy at 20-1, even though I really like him. I hope that he can chip around this course because it's going to put every ounce of his ability on display, whether it's good or bad.
I think he's about to get a major, man. I think this is one guy that
He's
actually
got all the talent in the world. Yeah. There's no doubt. I'm not saying don't play Ludwig. I'm just saying I'm gonna take my chances betting somebody else, and then I'm gonna load up on him in DFS because I do believe Ludwig Oberg is on the verge of all the greatness that we've been talking about for 2 years now.
We were very early to that party.
The earliest. Like when he was still at Texas Tech dreaming about the PGA Tour, we we're like, watch out for this Swedish kid.
Sounds American. Don't be fooled.
He's not.
So I think we probably both agree on this guy. Hideki Matsuyama, 35-1.
Yeah.
He's number 2 in my model, playing
number 10 in mine.
Golf.
Yeah. No worse than 42nd in any stat that I ran.
His around the green game and scrambling is insane.
Yeah.
Which I would
strong.
I wouldn't have guessed. So
no, I filtered it for that difficult long courses too. It didn't get much worse. Like he was a guy that stayed steady regardless. Another course proof guy. He's a great ball striker and a great short game. His only kind of weak spot over the years has been putting, but he's been putting well this year. So you can't say that Hideki isn't a good play here. The only concerns this year have been injuries, and he seems to be fully recovered from whatever back issue he had earlier in the season. I don't worry about Hideki at all. He's got a really soft line. I think I want to play a little bit of Cameron Smith alongside him because any course that requires good short game, I think of one guy, and it's the guy with the best short game on the planet.
I like the ties to the Australian sand stuff too. Like I think
for sure. Did you see the interview that they walked with him with Johnson Wagner? I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. I was at work. I was getting in trouble at work for watching this 6-minute video of Cameron Smith walking with Johnson Wagner on one hole, just like playing a practice hole, and just having Johnson Wagner pick his brain on how he practices, how he's preparing for this tournament or any tournament. And he seemed completely comfortable with, like, we're talking about brutal conditions that everybody's complaining about. Cam Smith is like, I think it's fine. He's like, I love it. I was like, oh man, that's the attitude I want to hear. I want to see this guy go out there and just shoot 65 on the first day and leave everybody in the dust. 40-1 on Cameron Smith just seems like an insanely long number for a guy that good.
Yeah, I have. So first off, this is a guy you and I normally don't agree on, but I have no argument.
But you agree with me this time because short game travels, and Cameron Smith has the best short game in the planet Earth.
He's up there for me, and like I said, some of the similarities to the golf he came up playing and his comfortability with it, like, yeah, that's a good number on Cam Smith, truly.
Love it. Anybody else in that mid range that you like, that you're throwing some money on, some skin in the game?
So Fitzy this week I've got a little.
Speaking of short game,
so I kind of think that had he not had like one or two really bad holes last week, I think that number would be a lot shorter on him. So I think with Fitz, I think he's finding the accuracy, he's finding the control, he's finding, like, more importantly, how to, like, plot his way around the course again. Like, Fitz has always been like a player that can literally plot his way around intelligently.
He's
and
known
for whatever reason, he's chased a little bit of distance for a minute and kind of lost that ability to, like, intelligently move through the course. I think he's getting that back, and I think you need that in spades this week. So
completely agree on Fitzpatrick. His approach game's been a little squirrely, but I think that the way he chips and putts, it's been more than adequate. He's a U.S. Open champion. I think Brookline actually fares pretty well to Pinehurst as a comp course because they're both long par 70s, and even though Brookline's more known for that traditional long rough, and it's still that same lightning fast conditions, runoff areas. I've heard Chambers Bay is a comp course. Fitzpatrick played well there too.
I got a guy. I got a really long shot that there's a Chambers Bay tie to.
I bet. So
no, with Fitz though, the last thing I want to call out is kind of where something we talk a lot about Matt Fitzpatrick about is I like him in a lower scoring, like a higher scoring event, I guess is the right way to frame it.
Grinders.
I like a course where Fitz has just got to plot around, get some pars, and that's a lot of what this is going to be.
Yeah, you don't want Fitz in a birdie fest because he just doesn't do that.
Yeah, and I don't like him as a human being, but he makes a lot of sense here.
He's just got big teeth. I think he's fine.
I don't know. Watch Full Swing again. He's kind of a weird.
I must just tap into the same brand of weird as him. Any interest in Dean Burmester at 80-1? That seems a little short for him, but he's been playing great this year.
Love Dean Burmester. Playing him in DFS a bunch. Got him on the betting card. Playing excellent golf on the Live Tour. He's playing good golf pretty much everywhere he tees it up. He's a South African guy, so.
A lot of people are betting Dustin Johnson. He rated out super high in my model. I'm not touching him. He hasn't played well all this year. I don't know how he's rating out well. So yeah, I'm not doing the DJ thing. He's burned me twice already this year. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I got no interest. Like, DJ is the prototypical live guy. Got his bag and now doesn't give a shit about his craft. I mean, that's truly what he's demonstrating. So
yeah, good for him. Did we skip over anybody? I'm kind of looking at it.
I'm going back to the Sam Burns well this week. Like, Sam Burns is a lot like Rory. I'll keep it really short with him. A lot like Rory in the way we talked about him earlier in the year, where we're getting 3 good rounds out of Burns. We just need 4 good rounds out of Burns.
Yeah. And
if we get that, he very easily could be in contention here. So
he's another good grinder.
Yep. So Sam Burns at 65-1, I think that's that's a pretty good price too. So
Siwoo Kim at 90. That's appealing.
I'm gonna probably eat my words, but I'm gonna be out on Siwoo this week.
Oh, thank God. I'm out on him too. One guy I'm not out on is Christian Bezuidenhout.
I was a week ahead of you, so I'm right there with you though.
Yeah. It took me seeing what he did, finishing 4th at Memorial last week. This dude's short game is nails, and it plays like this guy's playing out of his mind this year. He's really taken on a new form. Another guy where I ran all these stats and he was not outside the top 50 in any of them. He was solid. He's top three in short game, both metrics. He's really good on approach. He's really good at avoiding bogeys. He's just a solid golfer, and he's dirt cheap in DFS. We'll cover that. But 110-1 for a guy that's playing that well and whose game fits this course that well, holy crap, what a value.
Yeah, I don't know if you read my betting column last week, but
not yet. I haven't written my own.
No, last week.
Last week. This week. I did read it last week.
But yeah, that was my biggest buying point with Bez was the elite short game and recovery game that he has. And it is truly elite because he's like number one in most of these categories. And that's what kept him where he was last week. So an even tougher challenge that emphasizes those skills. Like I love Bez this week.
So a grinder and a prodigy are both, they were 180-1. They're both at 150-1. Kurt Kitayama, Akshay Bhatia, both friends of the show. Any interest in either one of them? Because I can take some stabs at top 20, top 30, top 40. I'm not interested outright because I just think this field is too tough. Like this is a brutal field, a brutal course. Akshay's bogey avoidance is okay. Kurt Kitayama's bogey avoidance is great, but his off the tee game has been squirrely. His approach game hasn't been good. His short game, they both have great short games, but Kurt Kitayama's short game hasn't been in great form this year. I think I like Akshay a little bit more, even though Kurt Kitayama's the prototypical grinder.
I would lean Kitayama. The biggest concern I have with Akshay is that his long iron approach game is just not that great. And frankly, I still like him in situations where we need an immense amount of shot shaping and an immense amount of wind play. This is a grind, but like his artistic skill in being able to shape shots, I just don't know that comes into play so much this week. So I'd be Kitayama if I had to pick one.
Okay. Yeah, Akshay, I have his 12th in around the green, which is great. That does play here. Okay, how about the Todd Father?
It's gotta be a pass on the Todd Father.
I like the Todd Father. Number 1 in around the green and short game. Number 2 in strokes gained par 3. Number 14 in bogey avoidance. He is a grinded out mercenary, and I'm just thinking top 30, top 40 for him because he's such a good. Like he's only missed 3 cuts this whole year. This guy's he doesn't miss cuts. Yeah, he doesn't miss cuts. The top 30 bet on Brendan Todd is plus 400. That's better odds than you get on Scottie winning.
That's actually
let's fucking go, Brendan. The Todd Father top 30.
I'm updating a betting slip as we speak.
Let's go.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, if you can stomach the 400-1 outright, Todd Father ain't winning.
No.
But did you see the whale bet on Bez?
No.
Somebody bet 50 grand at minus 49,000 odds that Christian Bezuidenhout wouldn't win. So like pay 50,000 to win $300. The C bet. I was like, damn, his ex must be rich and spiteful.
Dude,
what if Bez does win and
he could win, dude.
50 grand just down the drain.
That's a ballsy
if you got 50
move.
grand to win $300 and you're doing it for a guy to not win, that's so messed up.
Ballsy move.
It's messed up. That's vindictive is what that is.
I got a guy at 500-1 and I got a guy at 1,000-1.
Woo, baby, let's hear him.
So our old friend Tim Whiting is at 500-1.
He qualified.
So all the reasons we like.
He qualified, but Sergio didn't. Oh, boo, 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 boo.
Poor Sergio.
I don't feel bad for Sergio.
So this one is my Chambers Bay tie a little bit. So Brian Campbell is 1,000 to 1. He is a Corn Ferry player. He's having an actually really good year. He has the distinction of finishing as the low amateur at Chambers Bay when the U.S. Open was hosted there.
Excellent.
He's coming off of a 5 under for the U.S. Open qualifier at Duke University to get into this tournament. He is ranked 10th on the Corn Ferry Tour for driving accuracy at almost 74%. Wow. He is 12th on the Corn Ferry Tour in greens and regulation at an elite rate of 77%. His around the green and recovery stats are even better than both of those. He scrambles to par or better 66% of the time. He also has a residence in South Carolina and knows all of these North Carolina, South Carolina courses quite well, as demonstrated by the Duke University 5 under to get in.
I would say so.
And on top of that, of 13 events he's played this year, he's made 11 cuts, has 5 top 25s that include 2 top 10s and a runner-up in a playoff. Oh, and the following week to the playoff, he finished tied for 3rd.
Wow.
So this is a ridiculous misprice on a guy. If you don't want the outright, the top 20 is plus 1,600 and the top 40 is plus 400.
Repeat the name.
Brian Campbell.
No relation to Michael Campbell, who won at Pinehurst in 2005, beat Tiger Woods.
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah. What if they were related? Then it's an even better bet if he's related to Michael Campbell.
This is my prototypical, I have done way dumber shit with $5 bet. Like,
let's go.
This is a real player that could show up.
Hey, even just making the cut and getting 3-4 to 1, that's better than Scottie Scheffler winning odds. So let's go. Let's hope for the best.
Fire up a little Brian Campbell. My dad put me onto that, actually. Brian Campbell lives in Bluffton, where my dad lives.
Nice.
And he's golfed with him and his family a couple times. So this is a real dude.
Not to be confused with Bluffington from the TV show Doug.
Yeah, shout out Dad if we get this one.
Yeah, shout out to the Honker Burger where Brian Campbell. He goes.
That's all I got. Golf. That's all I got on the betting side.
All right. Well, let's head on over and try not to slam trunks like I did at Memorial last week. I love Jack's Place. I love that tournament. I had a great time watching it. You got to tip your cap to Scottie, and we're gonna go right back to the well with Scottie and DFS.
While you're tipping caps, why don't you just tip yours to me a little bit? Yep. Mm-hmm.
Congratulations for ending the very long. I can't even remember the last time you had won. Honestly, it was almost 2 months. I was on quite the torrid streak.
6 weeks. I had to go back and look at it.
And then it all came crashing down. I didn't even break 300 points. I don't think I had a 3 out of 6 lineup, and nobody was even in contention.
I felt bad for you.
I didn't. I knew as soon as Thursday was over, I was like, I'm not winning this week. All right, no trunk slams.
The club as well. This would be a wrestling slam.
That was literally me in the blue shirt. God.
I think that's the only drop that we have had the whole time we've been doing this show.
Yeah, the whole time.
I hope that doesn't go away. I like that one.
Yeah, we're keeping that one. The Goldberg toss in the pond. That's always good. That's at La Quinta too. All right.
FS.
Scottie Scheffler averaging 112.3 DFS points per game. You might want to play him.
Oh,
13,000 dull hairs.
He's actually reasonable on rostership projected for everyone.
Music to my ears.
I mean, it's not great, but it's not horrible.
It's not 38% like last week.
So it's 22.2 projected.
Ooh, that's
once
nasty.
The dust settles.
That's
right
good.
Now from the database we use. There's 42% of our closest friends that have used him in a lineup. But
well, in the single entry lineup that I played him in, where everybody else missed the cut, I got almost dead last, and I had Scottie, and everybody else missed the cut. That was the funniest thing I've ever seen because Scottie was 46% in that tournament, And of course, if you get the chalkiest guy who wins and nobody else makes the cut, you get dead fucking last.
It's so funny. Like I mean, we play a couple of these with the two Tims that listen.
Yeah.
One
And
of
that
them
was last week was the first time I didn't take all your money.
he went. One of the Tims went double top heavy with Rory and Scottie, and I was like, "Oh, don't take a play out of my book. Don't do that."
It never ends well.
Paid the price.
Yeah. Oh, you hate to see it.
But
So
yeah,
you should play Scottie.
Scottie.
I'm gonna double the field if it's 22%. Honestly,
Yeah, I honestly I kind of like the prospect of playing Rory. Rory's the massive leverage point up here. Really, he's projected at 12%.
Ooh. Number one in my model. I'm salivating.
So I think I'm heavier Rory than I am Scottie. I think there's more volatility with Rory, but as we talked about in the betting segment, I think Scottie and Rory are pretty live to be in the final pairing. I mean, I truly think the way they're both playing right now, I think that could happen. So
And
tape the ownership discount.
It's amazing to me that he's so low owned when if all you have to do is run a simple model and you see that Rory's short game is outstanding. Like it doesn't make any sense to see him so leveraged. I'll take it. I will absolutely take it. And that makes me think that if Scotty's going to be trending closer to 40% or even above 30 by the time we lock, and Rory stays low, like under 15, then I'm going to flip my script. And the name of the game in DFS is always leverage. You don't necessarily have to have the best guy at the top. If you get a low-owned guy at the top who does reasonably well, which I expect Rory to do at least reasonably well, and get a little bit creative underneath, that's what's going to count, and that's what's going to win you big money in DFS. So I'm intrigued by that because Rory is very, very high on my list. In fact, he's number one. Number one.
Yeah, in transparency, I mean, obviously I'm going to have some Scottie, but Rory at projected 12.3%.
Money.
Yeah,
money.
And realistically, taking a $900 discount to start with Rory
makes it easier.
Makes it a lot easier. And a lot of that chalk is being dispensed over to Xander Schauffele at 11.5. So you're taking a $600 savings to take a 5% increase in projected rostership. So Xander's going to fall somewhere between 16 to 18% once the dust settles at 11.5. I think I pay up for Rory here almost every time.
Yeah, and it makes it hard because you can't really start with both two guys up there.
No.
So you're going to have to divvy it up somehow. And I'm going to have some Bryson, and I'm going to have some Victor. I'm not going to have any Brooksy. Like, I'll have very little Brooksy because I don't think a short game can hold up. So having more Rory and a little bit less Scottie and Xander and a little bit of Bryson there, I think I'll have enough balance at the top to where I can do whatever I want down in the 8s and 7s and 6s because all you have to do is say, okay, let's see Rory take this thing down. And then you're blasting away so many lineups that you just have the edge on, like from the get-go. Is if Rory shows up and pushes the lead, you're still winning because he's cheaper and he's less owned than all those other guys up there.
Yeah, I think for me, the majority of my rostership is going to be Rory and Oberg. I'm not
mispriced at 96. Mispriced.
And I was really, really excited to play Morikawa when he was projecting a lot lower.
Chalk bomb.
Oh my God.
Holy crap. And that's the problem is Ludwig is underpriced, but Morikawa is so underpriced that the whole field is like, well, it's so easy to build a lineup with Colin. And we just saw him almost win and beat Scottie last week. He absolutely could have won last week. He was one of only 4 players on Sunday to shoot under par at Muirfield Village. Dude's playing out of his mind right now, and he absolutely could win this tournament. Too cheap.
Colin Morikawa at 22 to 24% matching Scottie's rostership rate. Like, I'm sorry, in that to be, I get the price difference, but above 9K, like I'm playing Scottie over Colin every time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
if I got to take a stand at the top, it's sure as shit not going to be Morikawa.
Yeah, Collin's in my pool, but he's not going to see a ton of rosters because of where he is ownership wise. And honestly, I'll have a lot more Ludwig because $200 more gets me to the same lineup decisions. And then I'm out on Cantlay and Clark, and JT honestly hasn't showed me anything. Cam Smith is going to get so much. I'm going to get so much over my skis on Cameron Smith that I don't need Colin Morikawa. I don't need him.
Well, since we already talked about all those guys, what do you think about Max Homa? Because what's interesting about Homa is that price at 8,600. He's sandwiched in between Cam Smith, who's bordering on chalk, and Fleetwood, who is chalk.
Yeah.
So is Max Homa the pivot play in the eights?
Sheesh. I don't know if he has a short game, honestly. It scares me. Like, I could see Homa missing this cut. I could also see Homa grinding it out to be in contention. If he's leveraged, he's definitely cheap enough. And I mean, honestly, I love Tommy Fleetwood here. I really do. But too many of my very closest friends love him just as much. And it makes it hard in a DFS lineup where I'm going to build 50 lineups. And if Tommy Fleetwood's in more than 10 of them, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to move stuff around because I don't want that kind of exposure to a guy who A, never wins anything, and B, doesn't score DFS points. It's not a good money play. It's not a good exposure play in DFS. Like, if you want to bet Tommy Fleetwood in a top 5 or top 10 bet, that's outstanding smart money. But DFS with 20% of your closest friends, that's really dumb money. Don't do it.
Yeah, and I think in the eights, if I'm going to eat chalk, it's going to be on Hideki. 8 flat for Hideki is a ridiculous price, and now
and Fitz at 82.
Yeah, I think Fitz at 82. Like, the interesting thing there is that he's also chalk, so it's like what is the least amount of evil here in DFS? And for me, like, I know it's not a massive savings, but I'll take the $200 savings and eat the chalk on Hideki.
And because Hideki's averaging 14 more fantasy points a week. That's a big chunk more, and just so he's playing.
Yeah, and just hedge by betting Fitzy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, eating 14 to 17% chalk on Fitz. I don't see the means to the end there. I think I eat the chalk on Hideki. I might just fade Fitz in DFS.
Any interest in $7,800 Tyrrell Hatton?
Normally, I'm a big Tyrrell Hatton guy. I am off him this week.
Okay, I'm debating because he hasn't missed a cut. He's got 4 top 10s, pretty solid all around season. Hasn't showed up at the majors very much. Like, that's the one thing. Is like, you can see Tyrrell Hatton play well on most events on the Live Tour and last year on the PGA Tour. This guy shows up, but he always has that one round where you just see him throwing clubs and throwing F-bombs, and he might even be in contention to win, and it just doesn't turn out well. I don't know if he has the temperament to withstand a USGA setup. Like, he's a lot like Rahm in that regard, where, like, just even having a bad break, which every player is going to get some bad luck on this golf course, because that's just part of the deal, is you're going to miss your spot by 6 inches, and it's going to roll off into a waste bunker. Tyrrell Hatton would be absolutely erupted like a volcano if that happens once to him. And that's going to happen multiple times to everybody in this field.
Yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head. I mean, I won't belabor it. The problem with Hatton is 100% his head.
Yeah.
If he hits one bad shot.
What a great golfer, though. My God.
And so fun to listen to and watch, like, not to take anything away from the guy, but he's a hothead. And if he doesn't play a good opening round, like, you might as well book his ticket home for him.
He's the reason I want all golfers to be mic'd up. He's outstanding. he's compelling television, because not only he's a hothead, but he's more angry at himself. Like, that's the self-deprecating humor that it's so good. Like, he's a nice guy. It's just he cannot follow through with the mental game of winning a major. One guy that I kept really good eyes on here for this golf course, immaculate short game, Sahith Theegala. 7,600 is a misprice on him.
Do you worry about the off the tee game? I worry.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
I worry.
A little bit. Yeah, he's been really bad off the tee. Really bad, especially lately. Like the last time we saw him, he was blocking balls 40 yards right, snap hooking it in 40 yards left. It's his short game has been so good that he's gotten away with it. I don't know if he can get away with it here.
No, I think I go. Yeah, I go up to Hideki or I go down to Sam Burns.
Yeah, okay. Burns is cheap, 7,200 for Burns.
I'm not a big fan of this 7K range. Honestly,
No,
I think a lot of guys in here.
Yeah, Minwoo doesn't have the approach game. DJ doesn't have anything. Tom Kim doesn't have the length or the short game. Burns is the class of this group. Connors has no short game. Bobby Mack doesn't have the length. Ben On doesn't have the short game. Sung Jae doesn't have the length or the off the tee game or the putting.
So Sung Jae is interesting to me. If his rostership stays around 12%, I will have some Sung Jae based on the last two starts.
Really good short game, just can't putt.
The last two starts, he's turned everything around. He's gaining in almost every category. So I'm gonna watch the rostership with him. If it stays pretty flat like it is right now, like I think that's a good kind of pivot move to get away from some of the middle 7 chalk there with Tom Kim at 12% and even Sam Burns to a point at 10.1. Like you're getting up there where like you could pivot down a little bit.
All right, so 3 guys at 6,900: Russell Henley, Brian Harman, Adam Scott. Oh, actually, skip Adam Scott. Alex Noren, great short game. Those 3 guys: Noren, Henley, Harman. Who's your preference?
I will raise you a Keegan Bradley. I like Alex Noren and Keegan Bradley.
Yeah, well, Keegan. I was gonna get to Keegan and Dean Burmester at 6,800. They're both great in DFS.
Yep.
Keegan, the ultimate grinder, the ultimate long iron player with a great short game. His off the tee game scares me a little bit like Thigala, but it's the grinder. Like we've seen Keegan play so well in just terrible conditions. This is Keegan Bradley's prime time. We saw him do very well at Memorial last week, and that was a great tune-up for just the conditions they're going to have here. Even though the courses are completely different, the difficulty is still there.
And the way I'm building, honestly, I'm going to have a fair amount of Noren, Bradley, and Burmester. I'll have a little bit of Denny McCarthy right below them too.
Mm-hmm. I love Denny.
Yeah,
Denny was in my long shots betting article.
That's a good call because Denny rates out really well here. He's been playing good golf. I think I'm avoiding like the Justin Rose potential bomb.
He killed
Russell Henley. I'm kind of out on Harman. Harman's been a real wild card lately in terms of accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
So
and that's what you don't expect to see that from him. But as courses get longer, he goes from a great play to a terrible one really quick. It's like an avocado ripening.
Well, and Brian Harman like feels to me, and I don't have any information to back this. This is a feeling. Starts the season pretty good like he did this year. He does that almost every year, and then it just kind of tapers and tapers as the competition on the courses get harder. Brian Harman starts to fall off more and more, and I think we're in that phase of the season. So Noren, Bradley, Burmester for me, a little bit of McCarthy. Don't need much to get there with him. So
Akshay Bhatia, 6,500. Too cheap?
For Jeremy, just to answer the question in the chat, the U.S. Open is being played at Pinehurst in North Carolina.
Yep.
Yeah,
he lives
late to the show, but
yeah, he's right. He lives in Moore County.
Love it.
Not Less County, Moore County.
Yeah, show. You're invited back. That's good analysis.
Yeah, Akshay Bhatia, 6,500. I'm all over that. Lucas Glover, putting. No top 10s this year.
I'm not going to play a whole lot in this mid-6. I'm going to drop down to Seabez, and I'm going to eat every ounce of that chalk. I think Seabez is so mispriced here.
It's unbelievable, right? Like, what is going on here?
5,800. Like, what are we doing?
That doesn't make any sense. Ooh, I like that sound.
Getting into
All
it.
right. I'm going to throw one out there at 5,800, who I'm not betting on, but Rosie agrees. It's a guy who's a short game specialist playing well lately. We've seen him on the leaderboards, Mac Meisner.
I got him starred. I knew.
Let's go. I knew it. I knew we were going to agree on Mac Meisner.
Yeah, I love the Mac Meisner call.
5,800. That's a great call for him. And really, nobody's on him except for us. So let's go. Let's get our leverage there.
Nope, that's an awesome one. If you're really getting down here, Tim Whiting, who I know I had to sell you on him a bit, but you can go back and watch the last show.
Oh no, he's every bit. You didn't have to sell me too hard, because as soon as I listened to your piece on him a couple weeks ago, and then I did a little bit of extra research, and I was like, all right, we're hitting the button. He's in the pool, and it paid off. He played really well. Sam Bennett here, I think, is a good DFS play because he's got upside. I know you hate him. You hate Sam Bennett, but I love Sam Bennett on tough golf courses.
I want to rip Sam Bennett's stupid mustache off his face.
It looks pretty good. He's got the goatee in the profile picture here.
Yeah. Anyways, and then my guy Brian Campbell down here at 5,300. I legitimately think that this is a player that will make the cut and has a pedigree that plays well here. So 5,300 for him, I think, is if you're down here, there's nobody else.
Right? Yeah, I'm looking at the guys with funny names like Christopher Pete Fish, or it might be Pettifish, but it looks like Pete Fish.
Pettifish sounds way worse.
It's like really hard to pet a fish unless you catch him.
You brought a 6-pack of Mike's Hard Lemonade in your Camaro to meet a 12-year-old.
There's also a guy like Joey Verzic. Doesn't have enough vowels in his name.
The only other guy that I see in here that like we've talked about recently, and then we can move on to our final calls. But Rico Hoy is down here at 5,400.
I'm not gonna play him, but I love that guy. What a great dude.
He's legitimately the only other guy down here that.
Yeah, I think I'll be fine with our guy, your guy, Brian Campbell. I'm gonna look it up. If he's related to Michael Campbell, this is the safest bet of all time.
I can tell you, I don't believe he's related to Michael.
What if he is, though? That would be so incredible.
And my dad's been playing golf with Michael Campbell. That's all I can tell you. Which I think he would have said. But
hey, you never know.
But no, yeah. That honestly, when I'm finding myself top heavy, he is kind of my play down here. Everybody in this range from about 5,600 down is less than 1% owned. So I mean, there's Gordon Sargent, there's Brian Campbell. And that's about it down here. I mean, that like the rest of them are crazy long shots that if you roster more than one roster with them, you're kind of
Fredrik Jedrup from Denmark.
Are you sure you're not drinking?
Sweet tea. It could be sweet tea and something else. Well, all right. So,
well, the Ezra's getting me. So,
who's winning this thing? Besides Scottie or Rory. I don't like. Let's go with somebody besides the obvious who we expect to be there.
I'm gonna say Ludwig Oberg gets his first major win this week.
I'm gonna say Cameron Smith. Cameron Smith is going to play and pay 40-1. I've already locked it in. I have a trifecta outright top 5, top 10 on Cam Smith. That's how confident I am in playing this type of golf course.
First round leader.
We're going way down. This is gonna be fun. You're gonna love this. Go ahead with yours first. I'm gonna drop this bomb.
I am gonna say Hideki Matsuyama, first round leader.
Okay. First round leader, Denny McCarthy.
That is a bold call. What tee time does he have? Has he got like the 5:57 tee time?
It better. It doesn't even have it on here, does it? I don't think so.
Not yet. I just refreshed it. I don't see him on here.
No, about this.
If you're a listener and you actually care, Underdog Golf on Twitter posted the tee times, so you can bounce over there and check out the tee times.
Yeah, and if Denny McCarthy is an AM tee time on Thursday, you hit that button. That's a couple 100-to-1 odds for him to be first round leader. It's fun.
Hat did all right. The hat did all right last week.
The hat did great.
The hat
did not screw us with the low number.
The hat continues to defy all odds.
Yeah. That was the lowest number we've ever drawn last week.
Oh.
The hat.
Here we are. Number 11 in your modeling. The hat has selected number 11.
You love to see it.
Tommy Fleetwood.
Denny McCarthy.
Shut the fuck up.
Let's fucking go, Denny. I'm riding on you, man. Which is funny because I have it goes Max Homa, Hideki Matsuyama, Denny McCarthy, Tyrrell Hatton, and then Bezaden Hoot.
Well, yeah, my minefield there was Straka, Finau, Fleetwood, Glover, Kim, Meisner.
Very good. Love to see it.
Same dudes.
Yeah. Well,
all right. Here's to whipping your ass again this week, Bo.
Here's to hopefully that doesn't happen. From Conor Coughlin, I'm Bo McBrayer. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the whole damn channel, and follow us on X Machine /Twitter, Elon's Playground.
I swear you're drinking.
I want to now. I'm going to go jump in the pool, though, first. That's going to be fun. It's 106. That's 41 Celsius, by the way.
Whew,
Tim Burke,
happy U.S. Open.
Tim Burke is the ultimate hat fan.
Tim Burke loves the hat.
What is next week's tournament? I don't even remember. I'm so caught up in Pinehurst.
Is it? I'm in the same boat as you.
It don't matter. We're gonna be here next week either way. Either way.
I'm gonna tell you what it is. Travelers. It's the Travelers.
Oh, that's fine. That's Tony Finau Playground.
Yeah, just bet Tony Finau. All
All
right, look forward to talking shit to you on Sunday.
All right, peace out, boys and girls. Windy early. Be on time next week.